This is eCoffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show, eCoffee with Experts. This is your host, Ranmay here. And today we have Steve, who is the CEO of Boom Right Media and the president of Roadmap Agency. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Going fantastic. It's a wonderful Friday. Looking forward to the weekend.
Lovely. Absolutely. I mean, this has been a really hectic week for me as well. Can't wait for the weekend to kind of come in. But yeah, Steve, before we move any forward, why don't you talk us through your journey a bit? How it all started, how you, kick-started on your entrepreneurial journey, what triggered that decision making, and also a bit about the couple of businesses that you run right now, Roadmap and Boom Right, and we'll take it off from.
Sure. Well, my entrepreneurial journey has to go back a long time before I had a whole bunch of gray in my beard. So back in the late 90s, I was a dot-com kid. And with that startup, we scaled across 11 countries, and that was in Winnipeg, Manitoba. It was my unpaid MBA in learning about business. I'd come out of university with a BCom honors, but that was the real learnings. Like pretty much all dot-coms, we got rolled up and shut down. And, with the dot-com crash that happened in 2000. And so then I had to go work for a living, and I immediately became an executive, a vice president in my early 20s. And I stayed an executive for a long, long time, working for privately owned, mid-sized organizations. But I always had that itch to get back into it. And so along the way of being an exec, I bought into a bunch of companies, and then I decided that I wanted to change. And really the catalyst for me is, I got offered the big chair. I got offered a CEO job, and I didn't want it. I wanted to do something myself. And I had been doing a side project of another podcast that I was looking at, specifically SMEs and the struggles that they were going through. And this was just off the side of my desk. I was doing, as a passion project. And I started looking at this part of our economy, right? Like 99.6 of businesses, percent of businesses in Canada are small to medium enterprises. It represents 90% of private employment. Like that's where the juice is in our economy. And if you're gonna make an impact and make, Canada better, make that better, because that will increase overall employment. It'll increase the tax base, which can fund our social contract as a country, all that sort of stuff. So that's where I started looking at what I had ownership in an agency, off to the side as well in my career. I thought I'm going to push a bunch of agencies together, and I formed Roadmap to specifically serve small to medium enterprises and help them with the complete picture of how they go to market and everything that they need to be successful. And that's where it all kind of came together.
Brilliant. And you often talk about forecasting into forecasting, right? So what was the very first step you took at Roadmap to make revenue predictable?
Well, the big problem is that when people look at a marketing agency or sales agency, they say, listen, I want more leads. At the end of the day, the impact that they want is they want to grow their sales, and they want to grow their sales in a predictable way. So how do you go about doing that? Well, first, you do have to have a forecast in place that you can apply a mathematical model to. So if you want to grow by $2 million per se, you need to know how many units you need to be able to actually grow that $2 million. And then so you have to figure out how you're going to get those units. That might be additional distribution channels. So extra dealers or extra retailers or extra resellers, or what if you're B2B, you're going to have something to do with a channel strategy like that. So what I find with most teams, and we've got this backed by data, right? We had like 65 sales audits as we were CDOP advisors. And, now we work across, I've got like 95 active clients. And so we've done a lot of sales plan, and we've got a fair amount of analysis. And we're even doing research, like we're doing a go-to-market readiness index to further prove out the problem that we see with small to medium enterprises. And when it does come down to this thing called a forecast versus a hopecast. In a lot of cases, surprisingly a lot of cases, you say, well, geez, my sales were $15 million and I'd like to grow by $3 million to get to $18 million. So how are you going to do that? Well, we're we're going to work hard. The sales team's going to get out there. I'm going to, get some more leads. Marketing's going to get us more leads, all that kind of stuff. It's a hope cast. You have to break down all the things you need to do to gain that $3 million. So for instance, if you sell to dealers so you have an accounts, you might have to figure out what your average account size is. And to get that additional $3 million, there's literally two ways you can do it. You can get more dealers or you can sell more to your existing dealers. That's what you can do to grow your sales. And so how much do you have to do? Like, what is the volume metrics? What is the conversion rates? What is the activities that you have to do that? That comes down to a mathematical model that you put into a forecast. So when I talk about hopecast versus forecast, a forecast is based in a mathematical model that you can look at, and then you could influence the results. You know the activities that you have to do to get there. Now that takes a bit to figure out. Just working on that this morning. I've been working on it with one company for several weeks, and then we had the breakout of what we're going to do, that it's no longer a hope cast. We're almost at a forecast, and we're getting those different volume metrics and conversion rates in place so that team can influence the outcome of what the revenue is going to be this year. So that's what I mean between the two. And unfortunately, I see way too many hope casts in the marketplace, and that's sad. We can do better. And we should do better. And I'm here to help.
I love that analogy. Great. And from your perspective, you work with a lot of B2B segment companies, right? What is that one biggest mistake that B2B companies make in their go-to-market strategy?
Well, first, they really don't have a strategy. That would be the first mistake.
That is a good one.
Yeah. And then secondly, they don't have a plan. Like, strategy and plan are two distinct things. They're not mutually exclusive. Like, they're kind of a nesting in of one of each other. But the big mistake is that they haven't taken the time to really understand what their critical numbers are that are going to drive growth. So for instance, it might be that they need X amount of new dealers to be able to get growth. So your critical number is going to be how many new dealers do you have to add per month? And so if you add 2 per month, you're going to hit your numbers. Or your critical number could be orders or quotes provided. That sort of stuff. It's going to be a volume metric that you need to achieve through certain activities. And, if you're going to have a successful go-to-market, you need to have that scorecard in place, those KPIs in place, those critical numbers in place that are going to drive growth. And that's the mistake I see, is that isn't understood. That isn't known. Of course, therefore it's not being measured. And if you got nothing to measure, you got nothing to manage, and you get what you get and you don't get upset. And that's how it unfortunately happens.
Yeah. And what is your, number one playbook move you'd give to a B2B CEO who wants to unlock growth?
The number one playbook move I would do would be, I tell everybody to do, is look at your existing customers, tier them, and then go and grow them and hug them. So work with who you have right now and go back and reactivate and expand. So let's take a company that wants to do $15 million. More than likely, they already have about $12 million in reoccurring revenue with their book of business. So they need to create strategic growth plans with all those existing customers and then figure out how they can expand that and grow it. That's the number one move, because you've got people that love you and like you already. So how can you help them more? Go talk to them, go listen to them, go plan, co-create a future with each one of your dealers as to how you can grow more together, and you'll see your revenues go up. Then worry about finding new dealers or new retailers or new resellers or whatever it might be in your channel strategy.
And, Steve, talking about two of your businesses, tell us more about how you, as the person who's running the show, manages both businesses. What is the overlap? How do you manage your personal life? How do you find your work-life balance, if there is?
Well, work-life balance is an individual thing. Some people have work-life balance at 80 hours a week. Some people have work-life balance at 30 hours a week, or 20, or 4-day work week, or 1-day work week, or 4-hour work week if you're Tim Ferriss, I think. Yeah. So that's a personal thing. So I mean, the truth of it is that with both businesses, I use the EOS system, Entrepreneurial Operating System. And I plan my week out as to what I need to do. What are the critical things that have to happen this week, the top 3 things that have to happen this week with both businesses. I document the hours I'm going to work in both businesses on a weekly basis. I document the personal things that I need to do with my kids, and that includes also like the social activities. And so all that stuff is sort of laid out, and you make that choice on a week-to-week basis. This first week back to school, I understood that my health I wasn't going to be able to exercise as much as I normally did. And that's okay, because I'll get back on track next week. But at the beginning of the week, I understood what that was, because I actually wrote down as part of my plan, how much do I plan to exercise this week? How am I going to plan to eat this week? It's a dry September, so no alcohol this September, that sort of stuff. EOS runs my life, right? And so that gives me balance, because I make those active decisions and I'm okay with it. And sometimes you're working more than you're spending time with friends, family, and personal pursuits. Other times, you're doing more with friends, family, and personal pursuits. And that's what it is. You make those choices every week. In regards to how I run both businesses, systems, of course, and making sure that I have like a completely connected tech stack and leveraging AI to save time and do a lot of work for me. That's honestly, that technology has allowed me to scale and do more with less. I would not be able to do what I'm doing today 10 years ago without the techniques and the technology that I have in place.
And talking about AI, what is like your go-to tool these days when it comes to AI?
Well, it comes down to a few things. For sales, I use AI in a few capacities. So one, I will use Humanic AI to profile prospects. So I get insight as to how I should speak to them, what's important to them, that sort of stuff. And I can change my pitch accordingly. I use Sybil to record my calls and to give call recaps and to give insights and to help me with the starting point of writing proposals. And the AIs nest within each other, right? So you take the information from Humanic with how you need to write for that customer or speak to that customer. You take the insights for Sybil, you put it into ChatGPT with a custom GPT that's built up for my proposal builder and various different lists of prompts. And bam, I've got a personalized strategic proposal pitch based off of what the AI has been recording and doing. And then, of course, I humanize it and justify it and review it, but it saves me a ton of work. Okay. So I use all that. And then I'm using AI to gather insights. And we have agents built that are extracting stuff from conversations and getting data from how we win, how we lose, that sort of stuff. So we're constantly exploring, we're constantly poking. And the more that we can leverage AI in our workflows, the better. And that's what I personally do, but I pushed it upon my teams to do it. And all of them are using AI. We're experimenting it with all the time. And we have it baked into our standard operating procedures, different prompts, different types of AI to use. We're AI native.
Lovely. Lovely, Steve. This has been a great conversation. Really appreciate you taking out time to do this with us, man. And for our audiences, if they want to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Best place is find me on LinkedIn, direct message me, or go to weareroadmap.com and you can book a meeting there. And I'm happy to have a virtual coffee anytime.
Lovely. Thank you, Steve. This was a great conversation. Cheers, man.
Appreciate the time. Bye for now.